Hi, I'm Kelly Chase and this is History Detective, and today I'm sharing the story of the only ex-convict on our money, the woman on the $20 note, Mary Reibey. Australia spent about 80 years dutifully helping out Great Britain with her overcrowded prison problem by accepting around 162,000 convicts. One of these convicts was a young boy, a horse thief named James Burrow. Well, James Burrow was not a boy at all. He was in fact a 14-year-old girl named Mary Haydock, who was dressed as a boy and used James Burrow as an alias. Mary's parents were respectable landowners, but when she was 2 years old, they both died and she went to live with her grandmother. During this time, she was educated at Blackburn Grammar School and went regularly to church. This education came in handy later. Tragedy struck again in 1790, and at the age of 13, her grandmother died, leaving her with no one, and so she was to become a servant. And what is the logical thing to do when you are forced to become a servant? Dress yourself as a boy, call yourself James Burrow, steal a horse, and run away. She tried to sell her horse for £17 at a local inn, but alas, the people she tried to sell the horse to were a little suspicious and told the authorities. James Burrow, the scoundrel horse thief, was arrested and sentenced to be hanged, but his sentence was reduced to transportation to Australia for 7 years. When James went to get a medical examination before the voyage to Australia, the doctor discovered that James was not a boy at all. He was, in fact, a 14-year-old girl called Mary. The court offered to cancel her sentence if any of her remaining relatives took her in. They didn't. And in May 1792, she set sail on a convict transport with 324 other convicts. By the time she arrived in Australia, Mary had turned 15, and when she landed in Australia, she became a nursemaid or nanny to the 2-year-old son of the Lieutenant Governor of New South Wales, Francis Grose. So aside from when she was put in jail in England and of course the harrowing ship ride over to Australia, she did not spend much time as a typical convict. She served her time as a nanny to Francis Grose for the next 2 years. On the ship to Australia, there were 290 male convicts and 35 female convicts. This meant that Australia had an issue with gender imbalance. This was good news for female convicts because it meant they were able to rise up out of their station as convicted convicts and take their pick of the free settlers who were also migrating to Australia. This is exactly what the 17-year-old Mary did. Within 2 years of arriving, she met 19-year-old free settler Thomas Reiby. They were married and were given land on the Hawkesbury River. Thomas was a savvy businessman and started a cargo business, eventually becoming wealthy enough to buy several farms along the river. In the meantime, Mary Reiby was busy having and taking care of children. Over the next 17 years, she would have 7 children. While her husband was away on his many business ventures, she looked after the accounts. This gave her considerable business experience. Then in 1811, her 36-year-old husband died, leaving her with not only 7 children to raise on her own, but a considerable business empire to run. She took over the Reiby business and continued to successfully run the trading company and became a very wealthy woman. She was very capable of handling her business affairs. In fact, in 1817, she was found guilty of assaulting a man who owed her money. It would be easy to ask, considering Mary was only 34 when she was widowed, why didn't she get remarried? She was wealthy, and there were still more men than women in the colony, so she could have easily found a new husband. In 1811, if she had remarried, the law was such that her new husband would then own all of her property. And if we have learned anything from the horse stealing incident that sent her to Australia, Mary valued her independence and freedom. By 1817, she had bought more ships to expand her operations. She also began to get into the real estate market, purchasing property in the Rocks in Sydney and in Macquarie Street. You are looking upwards of $1.5 million to buy a 1-bedroom apartment in the Rocks. By the time Mary turned 40 years old, she had an estimated worth of £20,000. In today's money, that's roughly about $3.5 million. By 1820, she had shaken off her convict origins. In fact, in the 1828 census, she put on the questionnaire that she had arrived free to Australia. Mary supported many charities in her lifetime. She was also appointed as one of the governors of the Free Grammar School, and she was one of the start-up investors in the Bank of New South Wales. You may know it now as the Westpac Bank. At the age of 78 in 1855, Mary died of pneumonia. Don't forget to hit subscribe, and in the description below you'll find a link to my website where you'll find a list of references and links to teaching resources. This is Kelly Chase on The Case. I would like to acknowledge the traditional owners of the land on which this video is being recorded today. I pay my respects to the elders and knowledge holders past, present and emerging.